Wednesday night is Hip Hop Night.
You never thought that hip hop would take it this far. Now I'm in the limelight cause I rhyme tight. Time to get paid, blow up like the world's...
Tax FM 107.2. It is with me, Ipileng Lola, and today we have rapper, singer, and songwriter Ricky Tyler. How are you doing?
I'm good, and you?
I'm good, thank you. So first things first, we're gonna start at the very beginning when we didn't know who Ricky Tyler was and you came into the scene, which was around 2016, if I'm not mistaken. So I just like you to take us a little bit through the process of when you decided that you're gonna make a career out of your talent.
I've pretty much just been like someone who's just enjoyed entertainment as a whole, you know?
Yeah.
Back then I was trying to pursue an acting career. I was trying to pursue like a modeling career, dancing career. So I was just trying like many different things, you know?
Yeah.
So it's music has been something I've always been around, you know, like I've always just tried to sing. I never really like took it too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
But like in terms of like things that I had to do, like certain production, like shows that I had to do, like the Applause Rising Talent Showcase or certain like maybe theater productions at acting school that I would take, I was forced to sing, you know. So a lot of my friends were, you know, musicians who were pushing that hustle. So I would like be sitting in their studio sessions and I just fell in love with like the whole creative process, you know. So it's always felt like that. It's always felt like it's been a calling. And like how I pretty much got onto the scene is, you know, I just kind of decided for myself, like, let me record my first song type vibe. And I think that happened when I was in the States and I was with a roommate who was a producer, and I just in that moment I kind of like realized like this might be something I might want to do, because I kept throwing him musical ideas and I realized like how much I love the energy in the room and like how much I love like just trying to like be a part of this creative process. So it was just a thing of like just try it out. And then when I got back to SA, I decided to just record my own internet beats. Like I was just downloading beats off the internet, and then like I was putting that out, you know, onto my YouTube, onto my Facebook, and I was just trying to gauge with like what people liked, you know, what they disliked, and majority of the time, you know, they were enjoying the content, so I kept putting out more content, and it just gave me more confidence to keep releasing, you know.
Yeah.
And eventually I met Playground Productions, I was doing a song with an artist they were working with, and they took notice of me and then decided to take me on board. And then we released our first song called Swerve, and then I performed it at this one nightclub, and Tejo happened to be there, and his manager went crazy for the song, and then they contacted us, and he jumped on the remix, and then that's pretty much how I made like my first like intro to the industry, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, when people started taking
specifically referring to your single Swerve, right? And the fact that you featured Tejo. I mean, Tejo is quite a big name. And I think that also might have been like a really good step for you in getting into the industry. Tell us a little bit about the process of working with an artist who's more experienced and who's, you know, been in the game longer than you, and yet you're just new, and he heard you performing this and said, listen, I want to jump on. Tell us how that experience was for you and what did you learn the most out of that?
I pretty much learned like, you know, anything is possible, and like, you know, you need to put the music first, you know, like that's what people want to take notice of, as opposed to trying to like be friends and you know, build all these connections. Like, at the end of the day, it's about the music. And if you're making good music, you know, there's a cool thing called law of attraction, where you attract, you know, people to you. So like when you work on yourself and you work on, you know, molding and just sharpening your knife at your craft, you'll attract people because your work is good enough to attract those kind of things, you know?
Yeah.
You're making friends off of the right reasons, and that's obviously based off of the music, not just some, hey, let's be friends or put me on board, you know, this music. So, I mean, for that process, I mean, it just reminded me that, okay, cool, like if you put the music first, you know, people will definitely, if you got something good going, people will definitely be interested in what you're doing, you know?
Yeah.
So work on the music thing right, like put the music first, as opposed to like, you feel like you need to be if music's what you do, make sure you put the time and effort into that. It took me years to like really get to where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
In order for people to take notice of what I was doing, you know? Before I was just releasing stuff and just putting things out, like, back to back, shooting my own little videos, running around everywhere to do our own shoots, like just trying to put together things like to showcase like what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to put out there. So
Yeah.
it taught me to put the music first, and
So
that, yeah. So
yeah, you didn't just stay there with working with Seho after the month started going. You worked with artists such as Rolene, as well as Chelsea, who's from Mozambique, and that's pretty big. I also realized that you actually got into a competition. Now, it's not a lot of artists that are open to doing things like that. They just all want to put out music and then get features and then make it big. But you got involved in the Afropunk Battle of the Bands. So I'd just like you to
yeah.
tell me a little bit about that.
So yeah, Afropunk Battle of the Bands was a show, obviously, we well aware of, that I got selected for. They were just trying to find out which artists can do Battle of the Bands, and I was one of the fans selection.
Mm.
So a lot of the fans like put me on board. So shout out to the fans for that. I was just getting tagged in like, yo, vote Ricky Tyler, vote Ricky Tyler, and yeah, we managed to make the cut. So I just got contacted by Afropunk saying, yo, so fans have put you on the short list, like they want you to be a part of the show. I was like, oh, that's great. All you got to do now is just like ask for votes. So when I did that, like we literally got the votes in, and yeah, I made the cut, and I got the opportunity to perform at Battle of the Bands. I didn't win the show, and
But you did
shout out
make
to the
it to
winners.
the final round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the winners were amazing.
Mm.
I got to meet some really awesome artists there, and just ultimately like build some new connections as well. Yeah, so that's how that experience was. Like that's what I took from it in terms of the whole experience. Is like just the people I met there. I met some really amazing people who are now also helping me, like also elevate as well. Who also saw what I could do. So the show wasn't just about winning and all this stuff, but like who you meeting there. You know what I mean? We met people who did like crazy engineering for some major artists overseas, and like we really like were introduced to some great people that gave it, who also educated us on a whole lot of stuff. We also went through to seminars where we learned a whole bunch of things about how to move as an artist, because knowledge is power. You know what I mean? Like you need to know what you're doing with your music and how to move about, and like where you're trying to target, and like what's your signature. You know what I mean? Like those things are important. Like you need to know what platforms are right for you, and so you're not wasting anything. And like, so it was a great experience in terms of that. I learned so much from that experience. Yeah.
Yeah, so after being in the scene for about 4 years, we saw Ricky Tyler make a big move this year, beginning of 2020, and that was you getting signed. Tell us a little bit about that and how you got that opportunity, and how you think that it sort of gave you a transition in your career, if it actually did bring any change so far.
So how I got signed to Def Jam is, so we run an independent label called Playground Productions, and we pretty much signed our independent label under Universal for a cool licensing deal. And so obviously I'm the like only artist in Playground. So when we sign as a team.
Yeah.
So basically, initially I was signed to Universal Music. And then what happened is when Universal did the partnership with Def Jam was looking for, artists in the Universal who would be able to represent, SA at a global scale, So it was purely about the music. DJ VG sent my music through to Def Jam, and they loved it. And they put me on board. So I'm pretty much the underdog in the situation, but it's purely based on music. So it was easy as that. Like you sent my music through as one of the guys to who would potentially be a part of the roster, and yeah, they took me on board. So I'm obviously grateful, and what it's changed is a whole lot of recognition. Like a lot of people know me. The name really holds weight. And we have much bigger platforms as well, to put our music out onto. Like now my music is being played like on a much there's so much more reach, you know what I mean? In terms of, the States, Europe, Africa, I have those platforms now to drop my music onto.
Yeah.
So that's definitely what changes. The platforms have become much bigger. And we have a much bigger audience, and we know a lot more people now. So right now it's just about the work. You know what I mean? We just have
Yeah.
to make sure we deliver on our side, because at the end of the day, a name is a name. At the end of the day, like, it's really what the work that we put behind it. So I never forget about that.
So
What got me
speaking
at.
about putting in the work, you gave us an album, right? But let's first start when you gave us the single in, leading up to the album itself. And that is 30 Ks, if I'm not mistaken. So I
Yeah.
want you to tell me a little bit about when you made the album and the sort of inputs that you had in it and what vision you had for the album and the singles that you have given us. And if you were able to work with people that you really saw yourself working with in putting this project together. So firstly, the single that you first released, tell us a little bit about that, because you also gave us visuals for that.
So 30Ks was dedicated to a girl in my life who was very much there for me, when I was going through some tough times.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, she was just very supportive, and she was always at the shows. She would always be there, just to kind of uplift me, like whenever it felt like things were slowing down or whatnot. So it's 30Ks is me appreciating like the fact that it's a blessing to have somebody there for you in your life. You know what I mean? It's like willing to make that effort. And I called the song 30Ks because she drove 30Ks to see me so.
Are you serious? Yeah, wow.
And in terms of the visuals, so the visuals, like, we it was like a kind of like a metaphor, like just some stranger picking you up, and then suddenly you guys share this amazing moment together, and then it kind of ends. It was also just to kind of symbolize like the fact that people come and go in our lives, but certain people come into our lives and have a major impact on our lives. You know what I mean? And they don't even owe you anything. They just happen to like just want to just give you that kind of energy. So yeah, that was pretty much what we were trying to depict, in 30Ks. Just like some stranger who's just kind of there for you, and at the same time, just somebody who's just will randomly like just to appreciate these kind of people in our lives.
Yeah, definitely.
The video was shot in Mpumalanga, near Hazy View and Graskop.
Yeah.
Graskop, where like God's window and stuff is.
I don't know that place, but okay.
No, it's beautiful. You must check
Yeah.
it out. It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a 4-day shoot. Hectic. We had to drive to Mpumalanga twice because of the rain. It was in that week there was like a lot of rain, so we couldn't like shoot in the rain as well. So we had to drive back twice, get the shoot done, get these drones flying. We didn't get a shot. We had to go back again, get certain things for this and that and that. So it was a hectic thing. So I'm so glad people are really enjoying that video, because
Yeah.
we put
You put a lot of
much
work into it.
sweat into it. Because it was sweating, like, literally.
Yeah. Shout out, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
so
then
that's
you came and you gave us your second single called Everything, right? And which led up to your album, which is 24 tracks, and it is called Small World. So tell us about that whole album. Did you have anybody that you specifically saw yourself working with? What is the direction that you're trying to take? How did you want your audience to receive it when you put the project out there? Because I would imagine that this was a big step, considering that you had gotten signed to Def Jam.
okay, cool. So Small World is pretty much a timestamp on each and every moment in my life, and I'm basically just being as vulnerable as possible, and I speak on like on my insecurities and the things that I've been affected by in life, and what is like ultimately molded me into this person today. Yeah, just through the lessons I've learned through my experiences, from being a kid to a teenager to now what kind of adult do I want to be. So it's pretty much just those timestamps. I really reflect on like a whole lot of things in my life that have ultimately affected me, and I call the album Small World because when people use the word small world so much, usually it's used for like you know somebody who might know
Yeah.
somebody, or we all know the same person type vibe. But I just wanted to flip that whole narrative, and and to me, like what Small World means to me is like, I feel like we're all connected in some way, like we're very much alike, through like shared experiences, through through our failures, through our successes. A lot of things feel the same in life: love, failure, you know,
Mhm.
and we all like we share those kind of those characteristics, just as people. And like what I try and put out on the album is like, what's important is like our attitude towards like everything, every challenge that's kind of thrown at us in life.
Mm.
And yeah, I just speak of like heartbreaks. I speak of family issues,
Yeah.
and all that. So I really dive into like a whole lot of things, and also like the kind of world that like I miss, and the kind of world that I hopefully like potentially want to see for myself, in future.
Mm.
Um, yeah, that's more than I. And on the album cover, I put it as my family. I decided to use my family just to show people that like I'm just like you. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I do this and that. But, like, I still have a family I got to go back to, and like and nieces and nephews who look up to me, brothers and sisters, a mom who needs me. And me just showing like I'm not living life for myself, and I don't just do this for myself. But there's a lot. These are the kind of things I stand for, and I'm trying to be a better man to my family than like my father was.
Mm.
So yeah, I really dive into those kind of things. Yeah, that pretty much covers Small World. And then sorry, what's next? Oh yeah,
I
the
was,
features.
yes, I was asking who you had featured in it.
Yeah, so I featured Cly, Cly Official. I'm sure you know Cly.
Yes.
I featured Harvey, who's from my neighborhood in the East Side. I featured Emma Baga, who's from Nigeria, and also the magic behind Chocolate City.
Yeah.
And then I also featured Alpha P, who's also from Nigeria, who dropped a song called Paloma that's doing extraordinary things.
Yeah.
And yeah, every feature on my project, to be quite honest with you, you know, when I had approached, when we had approached Emma Baga, I wasn't too sure if he was gonna do it because he's like a major, or like OG in Africa, just in
Yeah.
general in terms of the
Yeah.
rap. So, but he showed me love when I dropped Deja Vu, and I just decided to reach out, and I feel like it's important to just have an OG on the album. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So, so yeah, I reached out and he was like, "Let's do it," and I was like, "Oh snap," so that's how that came about. Clyde, okay, so uh, let me just say, like in terms of every feature, like I definitely wanted to go for each and every feature just based off of style and uniqueness.
Okay.
And they just have their own unique approach. I mean, if you've heard Alpha P, like he's on a whole nother level in terms of like melodies. You think, that was quite interesting. And shout out to VG. VG linked us because I had heard Alpha P's music and I was like, yo, I need this guy on board. So VG reached out and we managed to get the feature.
Mm.
And then Harvey, he's from a neighborhood. He's somebody who I grew up around, and him and I have done, we're working with music before, like, just before the pop off. We were working on a whole bunch of stuff. So he was very much a part of like putting, helping me get to a different kind of level, and also helped shaping me. And also, he's very talented.
Mm.
He's I've always been a fan of Harvey, and I just felt like it was important that I also feature somebody who's from my neighborhood and like,
Okay.
and somebody who I very much believe in.
Mm.
And then me and Clyde go way back as well. We've done music before that hasn't even been released yet.
Mm.
But Clyde's always been a part of my process as well. And I'm a big fan of Clyde anyway, you know what I mean? I've been a huge fan of Clyde. So I had to have him on the project just purely based off of that and just purely based off of what he's also done for me and like how he's always motivated me to keep doing things differently.
Mm.
Yeah, so it's all love, and it's just yeah,
Yeah.
just based off of like unique
Yeah.
style and approach. Just us also making sure that we're putting each other on board as well. So
So after this album, what can we expect from Ricky Tyler in 2020 and in the years to come?
oof, that's the funny thing about like music. You never know what's gonna happen next. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What you can expect though is visuals. We're gonna be shooting acoustic. I'm gonna drop I'm currently working on an acoustic version of the album.
Mm.
We're going to do visual content in terms of performances and also music videos for each and every song on the album, which we're currently
Right.
working for. So I've got some really nice surprises, like in terms of certain locations we've used and certain concepts that we're trying to like pull off. So
Yeah.
uh, it's going to be crazy. In terms of the image for Small World, I'm actually dropping an acoustic version for everything next week.
Wow.
And then for Small World, sorry, the artwork,
Yeah.
we've got a very special surprise for people. But basically, that artwork's gonna come to life.
Mm.
You're gonna see my whole family doing like the whole scene, like
Yeah.
a actual sitcom. So we're currently finishing that up. So right now we're just focused on visuals and pushing the album as hard as we can. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to reach out to people globally. And then at the you know, yeah, that's my main focus right now. I just want to get that right before I
Yeah.
take on anything else, just one step at a time, because
Yeah.
you get those, you get one simple goal right, a whole bunch of other doors open up. You can actually only live step by step. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
just getting one thing at a time, because there's so much I still want to do, but I need to first build my life and like make sure I get certain things right so that I'm in certain positions where those kind of doors can open up.
Yeah.
So quality, not quantity. Yeah.
Definitely. So speaking
Mm.
about all of this, I'm listening and I definitely want to know, what's next. I want to see what's about to come, what you've, given us, kind of what's going to happen and how you want to do things. Somebody's also watching this and they're wondering how they can keep updated with what Ricky Tyler is doing. Please just give us all the platforms that we can get your stuff and keep updated.
Okay, cool. So I mean, first of all, Google. Google is
Okay.
everything.
Yeah,
Google
yeah.
is, just type in Ricky Tal on Google and all that information should come up, like in terms of like where to find me here, or videos and da 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 da. It's easy as that. But then in terms of social media, Twitter at Ricky Tyler Show. Uh, my Instagram is at Ricky Tyler Show. My Facebook is The Ricky Tyler Show. And yeah, you'll find a link to all of my music and all of my visuals and in all of those on all of those platforms. You can find me on YouTube, and then all my music's available on all your streaming platforms. Your Apple Music, your Spotify, your Deezer, your Jukes, your Google Plays, all of that stuff. So you just type in Ricky Tyler. All we gotta do is search, and we're good.
Just go to Google there.
Good.
So also, I just want to wrap this up because I'm really inspired by a story and the fact that all you had to do is really just put, your work out there and people received it well. And especially because a lot of artists are going through a tough time right now, specifically because of COVID-19 and everything else that's going on. I just want to ask for a little bit of a piece of advice for anybody that's listening out there and is in the industry and they doing music. Just a piece of advice that you'd like to share.
Yeah. So just through my own experiences, I can only speak of what I know of, what I've learned and what's working for me is, it really is all about, patience and persistence,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And thirdly, knowledge is power. You know what I mean? You need to educate yourself in terms of any field that you get into, just in general. You need to know, just understand like who what's gonna work best for you, and how not to waste any of your content, and work on finding the right platforms to put your content on, not just releasing. Like, you want to make sure you have the right push. You want to make sure you have the right backing, the right publishing. Make sure you get, educate yourself in terms of publishing and licensing, so that you're making your money as well for your music. You don't want to be a great artist and you're broke. You know what I mean? So just definitely education is key, and then just be consistent. You know what I mean? You have to just move with the times, and don't be afraid to keep changing. You know what I mean? Always work on doing things differently, and really telling your story to like the deepest level. Like really give us who you are, and ultimately get fear out your head. You know what I mean? Like be brave, take risks. Invest in yourself. Don't go blow money on dates that you can't afford and you ain't even nowhere yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no typos. You
Yeah.
feel me? Um, so yeah, nah, like invest in yourself as a person. You know what I mean? Like always invest in your craft. Invest on studio time. I was taking walks Like I was walking to there, I was taking a taxi to there just to get some studio time, just to record on internet beats. You know, I was saving that little money I had, you know, when I was working as a barrister as well. Like whatever I'd make, you know, take that and I'll use it. I'll put it towards getting studio time. And these things pay off. All these little steps pay off. If you're able to tackle small goals for yourself, you'll be able to achieve the bigger ones. So it took a whole lot of small goals for me to get right, you know. And that's why I feel like we're here today, you know. So yeah.
Yeah. No, your story is really inspiring, and thank you so much for joining us for an interview today. I wish you all the best. We'll definitely be keeping an eye out for Ricky Tyler. You promised us lekker visuals. We're also looking forward to that. But thank you so much, and all the best for the future.
All right, cool. Thank you. And likewise, yeah.
Bye.
Shout.